Episode 495.
What's going on?
The one who answered Beadendan was the Grand Guild leader of 100 Blossoms. Flower when blooming should be plucked. The discussion group was full of big shots, guild leaders all. He didn't want to seem impatient, so even though the bad news concerned his own guild, he kept his cool.
It's Lord Grimm and his crew. They're still at Thousand Wave Lake and they're hunting down our teams on sight.
Beadington said.
What?
It was Zhang Yu who jumped up first at the news. While Huakai Kanzhe was still taking his sweet time, the contrast made him feel a distinct sense of superiority.
This could be a problem.
As Tiananxing spoke, who among the others didn't understand what this meant, they were all instantly gripped by anxiety. After wiping out 100 Blossoms team that had come to run the dungeon at Thousand Wave Lake, Ye Shu and the others surfaced their characters for a breather.
So? A lot more fun than just stealing monsters, right?
Yi Shu said to Qiancheng. Qiancheng didn't know what to say. He just sent a sweating emoji. It wasn't that he only picked on the weak when stealing kills. If the mood struck him, he'd go after anyone's target. But stealing kills from guild elites like these was a different story. First, their strength was on par with Qiancheng's. Second, they rarely leveled up alone, usually operating as a group. In Changcheng's history of robbing these types, there were times he didn't even get the monster, times he was killed right after the steal, and of course, times he succeeded and got away clean, though those were rarer. But as for today's situation, stealing the kill and then turning around to PK the PKers, that's a first. As for me, following the god behind him, not snatching monsters but going straight for the players, well, it wasn't without reason, but the weight of cutting someone down is just different. These elite players from the major guilds could be considered the top experts in the 10th server. The 5-man team was wiped out, turned into floating corpses, before they could even get their bearings. Qin Cheng, Tang Ru, and Steamed Bun Invasion wanted to get in a few hits themselves, but they never got the chance. They just couldn't get used to this unusual environment. There are two main differences between fighting in water and on land. First, you have more options for movement. Second, the water's resistance affects your actions. There's no real trick to it. It's mainly about gaining experience and getting used to the different environment. So even for people like Tang Ru and Steamed Bun, whose mechanics were already top tier, once they were in the water, they looked no different from Concealed Light. Tang Ru was currently in the water, locked in a struggle with a minor monster, essentially just trading blows and wearing each other down. These mobs, after all, aren't players. Most of them just stubbornly soak up damage and trade blows with you. Tang Ru tried to dodge and reposition as she would on land, but the water's resistance threw her timing completely off. But Tang Ru refused to give up. She kept trying to dodge, all the while relentlessly attacking the small monsters. Tang Ru's attacks, however, could land, since the mobs didn't have much of an instinct to dodge. As for the attacks from the mobs, Tang Ru was fully aware of them, but 9 times out of 10, she just couldn't dodge in time. The whole fight basically just turned into a brutal slog against the mobs. Still, Soft Mist's level was high enough for this leveling zone, so she could manage it. But the state she was in after the fight was pretty rough.
I just can't seem to dodge it.
After clearing the mobs, Tang Ru said to Ye Shu beside her,
Your movements slow down in the water, so the timing for your judgments is different from on land. You can't learn this from data. You've got to get a feel for it yourself.
Tang Ru nodded and continued searching for mobs.
By using a restricted practice method. Actually, landing a hit isn't that easy. It's just that minor monsters usually don't bother to dodge. Use the limit practice. Check if you're hitting the exact spot you initially targeted.
Right.
Ye Shu hadn't called them into the water expecting any real help. He was just using the opportunity to give them some underwater combat practice. If you're aiming to be a pro, you can't have such a glaring weakness. Otherwise, if your opponent picks a water map, you're completely useless. On the other side, Steamed Bun Invasion and Concealed Light were at a lower level. Going toe-to-toe with the monsters didn't look good, so the two of them were taking on one enemy together. As for Concealed Light, Ye Shu couldn't really say anything yet. However, in Yi Shu's view, steamed bun invasion was adapting a bit better than Tang Ru. After fighting in the water for a while, he'd already shown clear improvement.
Fight the monsters and follow me at the same time.
Yi Shu said.
Correcting, boss. It's roam, not wander.
Steamed bun invasion corrected him.
All right, swim. Follow me and swim while we fight.
Yi Shu said, directing his Lord Grim to go pull some monsters. The team continued leveling in Thousand Waves Lake, but now they also began to patrol the surrounding area. After hunting down the pair from 100 Blossoms, Thousand City had already grasped Yi Shu's plan. The guilds wanted to hunt down Thousand City, but now they're the ones being hunted. He's camped out at Thousand Wave Lake, waiting for guild dungeon teams to show up so he can turn the tables on them. The hunters had become the hunted, and the prey had turned into the predators. Just thinking about it got Qian Cheng pumped. Hunting players was way more fun than stealing monsters. While the others were casually gaming and fighting monsters, he was focused, scanning the surroundings for any sign of other players.
Over here.
Suddenly hearing Yi Shu call out to him, Qian Cheng swung his view around and saw he'd swum a bit off course from the team's direction. He swam over, a bit puzzled. Isn't this just about bumping into people by chance? Why would the route even matter? But this time, he hadn't been swimming for long before several figures became visible up ahead. As he drew closer, he saw they were indeed 5 players.
People!
Qian Cheng grew excited.
Yes, everyone, pay attention. Keep pace with my movements.
As he spoke, Ye Shu's Lord Grim plunged headfirst into the water. When swimming underwater, you always have to surface for air. So, when players are just traveling normally, they stay on the surface. The moment they spotted their target, they immediately chose to dive, clearly not wanting to be seen.
Is that really necessary, Godye? There are only 5 of them.
Qian Cheng sent a cautious message to Ye Shu, voicing his confusion. From Qian Cheng's perspective, with the great god's power, taking out these 5 would be a breeze. There was no need for all this sneaking around.
They're definitely on guard now. We need to hold back a little so they don't get a chance to run.
Qian Cheng understood the god's meaning. If they were going to kill, they had to wipe them all out.